Hello, this is Mr. Hornsby 3. This is the Mr. Hornsby 3 show, and before I go any further, I have to mention, because I am using Disney Plus to show you these images, I do not claim rights and ownership to these images. I am using it for review purposes only, and also, this video is not for kids 13 and under. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch up into 12 and under for this one, because this is, a show for kids. So, for kids under the age of 12, this video is not for you. Alright, so, now that all that's out of the way, here's my review of the X-Men Evolution show, and I'm not going to be showing any of these episodes. I'm just going to keep it on the images that they got here. And I gotta say, this show was kind of a good show, but not a great show like the original X-Men show. I mean, the original 90s X-Men show, and I'm not even going to say that's the original one, because they had Pride of the X-Men before that, but the 90s X-Men show was probably the best X-Men show out there. I give this one probably second or third. Actually, I should give this one second, because it did last more seasons than Wolverine and the X-Men. So, I'll give it second place. I mean, I do have some issues with it. One of the big issues is they make a lot of the X-Men teenagers. They made Jean, Cyclops, Rogue, Nightcrawler, Shadowcat. They made them all teenagers. The only older characters are Wolverine, Storm, Beast when he eventually joins. The reason why I say eventually joins is because you don't see him, I believe, until Season 2. Yeah. Season 2. So, they also added Spike, who's supposedly a nephew of Storm, who, was apparently created just for this show, which, honestly, I thought what Spike was when they first introduced him on the show. I thought he was going to end up becoming Tusk. Because Tusk was, he didn't have a big role in the 90s X-Men show, but he was in it. And I figured Spike, that's what they were going to turn Spike into. He was going to transform from Spike to Tusk. Now, that was not the case. But, as far as with the other thing with X-Men, they also turned the Brotherhood into kids. Like Blob, Avalanche, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and the only older and Toad. And the only older characters for the Brotherhood was, of course, Magneto, Mystique, and Sabretooth for the older characters. Now, later on in the season, Magneto gets another Brotherhood of Mutants, which consists of two characters that we all knew as X-Men in Gambit and Colossus. So, yeah. But overall, aside from the gripes that I have with the X-Men becoming, kids again, except for the older characters like Wolverine, Storm, and all them, and Xavier. Overall, this was a good show. I mean, at first you thought it was just going to be a lighter-hearted version of the original X-Men series, which was the 90s one. But there were some deep, dark things in this show that you could appreciate, like, Rogue and Nightcrawler's issues with Mystique. They did play up. Mystique was, Rogue's stepmom, which was her mom, and then, Kurt's biological mom. In fact, I believe the Grim Reminder episode is the one that shows you all the backstory on, Nightcrawler being Mystique's kid and all that. I will say, though, I did like a lot of the finales for these X-Men Evolution. I thought Cauldron Part 1 and 2 was a really good episode. I really enjoyed that one. The end of Season 2. I'll get to the Apocalypse stuff in a minute. Day of Reckoning, I thought was a pretty good episode as well. Even though the first episode of season 3 is Day of Reckoning as well. And I definitely love Dark Horizon. That was a great finale. I mean, they had to do everything in their power to stop Apocalypse, even though it really wasn't the finale. I guess Cruise Control was. But, you know, and then you get the Ascension episode, which is really good as well. But there were some other good episodes, some gem episodes in... Shoot. Go back to X-Men Evolution. There was some other gem episodes, like episode 2 of season 1 I loved because we got that first fight between Wolverine and Sabretooth. I mean, just an awesome episode for season, 1. And it's the second episode of the first season. It also focuses on them recruiting Shadowcat. That's something else I did like about this show. All the X-Men characters felt more important in this show than possibly the 90s show even. I mean, you felt like it was important for them to recruit Shadowcat. You felt like it was important for them to recruit Rogue, which I think they spent way too much time on trying to recruit Rogue. I think the Rogue episodes in season 1, pretty much half of season 1 was them trying to recruit Rogue. Now, they finally do get Rogue after, that one right there is where they get her. Then after that, we also get the recruitment of Quicksilver and Spike. First episode focuses on Nightcrawler coming to the mansion and becoming an X-Men. But they also do try to recruit Toad, even though Toad ends up joining the Brotherhood. And, he's like, yeah, I'm not going to be a part of Brotherhood. Or I'm not going to be a part of the X-Men and all that stuff. So, recruiting Toad was pretty good. I mean, I think Toad and Nightcrawler, right off the bat, they built up a feud between them. That's some things about this show I gotta say I didn't like. They built up some things that really they didn't follow up on. Like, with Toad and Nightcrawler, the first episode is focused on them two having kind of a rivalry with each other. After that, you really don't see too much about it. Same here with episode 4, Mutant Crush, where Blob's being recruited. Blob apparently has a crush on Jean Grey because she was real nice to him, but then, that was it. Nothing more about, Blob having a crush on Jean or anything like that. Like, oh yeah, I still like you, blah, blah, blah. And that wasn't followed up on. Speed and Spike, I will say, Quicksilver and Spike's rivalry lasted, probably till the end of season 1, and that was it. And then after that, it's like, oh yeah, that rivalry's done. So yeah. Now, another thing I didn't like is the lack of tension between some of the X-Men characters. Like, if you've seen the 90s show, there was some tension with some of the X-Men characters. Like, Wolverine and Cyclops over Jean, which they do follow up on in Wolverine and the X-Men. But that show only lasted 1 season, so we don't know how that would have played out. Plus, Wolverine got put in the spot of being the leader of the X-Men. That's why it's called Wolverine and the X-Men. But yeah. I mean, we do get some tension between Jean and Rogue, because Rogue at first had a crush on, Cyclops, and then they kind of pushed it away afterwards. I mean, pretty much they just built up rivalries between the X-Men members and the Brotherhood members. Another episode I like from season 1 is the Juggernaut episode. You get to see Wolverine and Juggernaut go at it one-on-one. I think it's the only time at that time you've seen it, unless you read it in the comics. But on TV, it was the first time you had seen it, even though Wolverine gets his butt handed to him by Sabretooth. But still, awesome episode. Juggernaut ends up going rogue against Mystique and all them, because she's the one that frees him, and she wants him to take Cerebro, but that don't work out too well. Now, also with this show, I felt like some wasted episodes. And one of the wasted episodes I'm going to talk about, this is one of them. And I guess it's in season 3. Where's it at? That's not it. Huh. I just seen that episode posted up on here a couple days ago. Oh well. This was a wasted one too. I did not care for this episode about where people mistake the Brotherhood for being heroes when they really weren't. I think it's here at season 2. I just don't see it. There it is, yeah. This was another wasted episode too. I know they want to get their girl power episode out there, I guess. But, you know, I didn't care for this episode. I thought it was dumb. Same with the Cyclops and frickin' Havoc getting stuck in a storm. It's like, you know, why not, you know, add something else there, like Cyclops, you know, Havoc still wants to join Magneto, even though he's seen what Magneto did at the end of season 1. He still wants to join him, and, you know, let's do that, blah, you know, let's have Havoc, and then Cyclops is kind of mad at him because he still wants to join the Brotherhood, and he's trying to convince him, look, man, you saw what happened the last time you interacted with Magneto. Why would you want to freaking continue working for him? And be like, yeah, you know, even though he did, you know, cause us to go mad on that, he still might have a point. Another episode I guess I could say I didn't care for was this one. Joyride, I mean, it was an alright episode, but, you know, I just wasn't a fan of it. Same with Walk on the Wild Side. I also didn't care for Cyclops and, you know, Havoc getting stuck in a storm. I mean, all the other episodes for this are pretty good, but I just felt like those 3 episodes were wasted episodes. Now, let's get into this. The start of Mindbender here in Season 2 of X-Men Evolution. He pretty much is trying to free Apocalypse, which leads to the final battle in Season 4. And he controls so many X-Men. He controls Jean. He controls, I think, Nightcrawler. I think he controls a couple other of the X-Men to do some bad deeds and get the key that he needs to unlock Apocalypse. Now, see, this is what I got excited about at the end of this episode. Because I remember when I watched it, and I'm like, oh, you know, this is awesome. They're going to bring Apocalypse in. And they did bring Apocalypse in, but it took a while to get there with it. And I'll talk about that more in a sec. So, you know, as we have all these other episodes, Operation Rebirth, Day of Reckoning, all that stuff. But, I think, what was the next one where Mindbender popped up at? It was, I think, one of the early episodes of Season 3. Because, you know, he also goes after Magneto and them. And there it is, yeah. Under lock and key. I think this is the episode we get Mindbender's return. And he gets the second key, which, you know, I guess he had to steal from Magneto and them. And after that, you know, pretty much whole things break loose because, you know, we get a little filler episode in between that with X-23 popping up. Then you get Dark Horizon Part 1 and Part 2, which I thought was the finale of Season 3, but I guess this cruise control episode was. Why? I don't know. Another thing I do like they did do on this show was they brought in David Hollard, Legion, Xavier's son. I liked this episode. I remember watching it. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's Xavier's son. I mean, they kind of played it up in the 90s cartoon with Prometheus possibly being Xavier's son, but it wasn't. But they did break Xavier's son in this one, Legion. He's the cause of the Age of Apocalypse, as you know. That's the biggest thing he's going to be known for, period, is bringing the Age of Apocalypse. Which, you know, I think it's good. Now that I've talked about so many episodes and some hidden gem episodes in this show, I want to talk about the music in it. The music in this was a really great orchestrated music. I mean, from the Magneto theme to the opening theme. I mean, my favorite theme they did, though, was the Apocalypse one. I mean, that kind of Egyptian sounding music that was just sound so awesome, which you do hear it for the first time, I believe. In the Dark Horizon episode, you hear it, and it's like awesome and all that. You know, I like all that. Another thing about this show that really gives it, I guess you could say, second place behind the X-Men 90 show is, you know, all the frickin'... I mean, there's a lot of theme songs for a lot of characters in this. I mean, you got a theme song for Magneto, I think for Mystique. You even had one for Scarlet Witch when they first brought her in, which I believe started in Stuff of Villains. They had a theme song for Toad. Toad, of all people, got a theme song. It's crazy. So, yeah. The music in this was really good. I enjoyed all the music, especially the Apocalypse theme. It's just so awesome. It fits the character perfectly and everything. And, you know, one of my favorite, you know, it's all, and, you know, even though I hadn't watched X-Men Evolution for a while, since the other day when I started watching it here on Disney Plus, I still remembered the Magneto theme song from X-Men Evolution. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I still remember that theme song, even though I haven't watched X-Men Evolution since it initially ended. I mean, I've watched it here and there since it ended, because other channels have shown it, but, you know, I started watching it again when I put Disney Plus here on my Xbox, and, I mean, it was just an amazing theme song. I mean, Magneto's theme song is so awesome on this, it's like, wow. You know, that's something that, you know... that's the one true thing I remember the most about the show. That and the Apocalypse episodes. Speaking of the Apocalypse episodes, let's get to the big finale. You know, apparently this show might have been coming back for a 5th season, but I don't think it was planned to have a 5th season. I mean, the way they ended the whole show, it seemed like it felt like it was a conclusion to the show. I mean... And when, you know, and I'm in the part where, like, right here, where I've scanned on it a couple times. The part where they show this here, and, like, Xavier's talking about all the things he's seen in the future and all that stuff. And, the, issues that they had with, the issues they're going to be facing and all that. I felt like... maybe it could have been leading to a new show, or it could have just been saying, oh, this is stuff that you've seen in the 90s show, and we're going to say, well, this is what's going to happen in the future, because the 90s is based after it, because the X-Men Evolution was, like I said, based when they were kids and teenagers, and, you know, I think the big thing about it is, you know, if they were planning more seasons for it, because another thing I want to talk about, they did have Wolverine change costumes. He had 2... This is the first show where Wolverine had 2 main costumes that he wore throughout the show. Let's go. He had the original Wolverine costume right here. That was his costume from, I think, till the middle of season 3. And, right here, he's in the Ultimate X-Men costume. So, maybe X-Men Evolution was possibly leading to Ultimate X-Men. And And if that's the case, then, you know, we never got that show. We got a show that was kind of based on Astonishing X-Men with Wolverine and the X-Men, but we never got an actual, you know, at Ultimate X-Men. And I love the Ultimate X-Men comics. I thought they were good. Yeah, there was some goofy, campy stuff. Now let's talk about some of the designs of the characters. First off, let's talk about Mr. Apocalypse here. Now, I don't like how he looks right here. And that was one of my big takeaways from this X-Men Evolution. Some of the characters did not look so great. But it's not as bad as what Wolverine and the X-Men did. Which I'll talk about Wolverine and the X-Men when I review that. Probably next week. But I didn't like... He don't got that much armor. He looks like he's just blue body. No freaking... I mean, he don't look that bad, but, you know, when you seen how he looked in the old X-Men cartoon, which was the 90s, compared to that, I think what they should have just did, if they were just going to screw up Apocalypse's look, they should have just kept the Apocalypse look from, they should have just kept Apocalypse looking like this. Looks awesome there. I mean, it looks better than what he does when he supposedly gets his armor. So, yeah. You know, I thought Cyclops was kind of generic looking in X-Men Evolution as well. Let's see. Gambit and Colossus as well. I just didn't like Gambit and Colossus' look. Avalanche's outfit. I mean... The character looks fine and all, but the outfit just looks stupid. Same with Blobs. I mean, the only Brotherhood member that really has a good outfit is Quicksilver. Well, and Scarlet Witch. And Mystique, you know, from her first design where after she evolved at the end of the first X-Men show, or at the end of the first season, she looks great there. But then let's go down to... when you see her again, which right here, she looked kind of generic afterward. Nightcrawler too, I thought looked kind of generic with the long hair and the suit looks alright, but the rest of Nightcrawler just looks generic, and I didn't like that. Some of the X-Men suits in this looks kind of generic too. I mean, Wolverine has a good suit. Storm has a good suit. Cyclops' jeans did not look that great. Shadowcat's didn't. Nightcrawler's is alright. I mean, his is alright. But, you know, still. I forgot they did an episode where they went to Area 51. Juggernaut, though, he looks awesome, period. You know, but yeah, some of the costume designs, like, especially with the Brotherhood, really, was not great in that show. I mean, and honestly, if they should have just kept Wolverine with that suit throughout the whole show, if that was the plan. Instead of switching him to the Ultimate X-Men one, giving people hope that we'd see Ultimate X-Men afterwards. But, you know, it is what it is. But I've went on enough about this show. I've talked way too much about it. I've broke down some issues I have with it. I've broke down some good things I like about it. I mean, one of the good things, really, one of the best things about it is the music. Especially the freaking Magneto and Apocalypse theme songs. Those were the best theme songs on the show. I mean, the opening theme song was alright, but, you know, I like the freaking Magneto and Apocalypse theme song. Some of the other people's theme songs were alright too, but, you know, it was just, you know, was not as memorable as that Magneto theme song and that freaking Apocalypse theme song. And I thought that was awesome. Now, this show also does not cover villains like Mr. Sinister. Does not cover villains like, the Shadow King. Does not cover, who else didn't they get? We don't see, Graydon Creed. We don't see... I don't even think we see Boulevard Trask. Yeah, we see Boulevard Trask later on. Gyrick is not in this. there's a lot of characters that were missing, and I guess because this is based on earlier versions of X-Men before you got those villains. But then again, you put Apocalypse in at the end. If the show was going to continue, maybe they were going to bring in Sinister, Great and Creed, and, all them. But, at this point, they were probably kids by that time. I mean, well, not Sinister. Sinister was around, especially if you've seen the Secret Origins episode of the 90s X-Men show. Sinister was around at this time. Probably still having Jack the Ripper working for him. But yeah, I mean, this was a good show, and yeah, I will say it's great because I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I think X-Men Evolution was a really good show, and I may not appreciate it when I first watched it, but as I've watched it over the years, and as it got better and better in each season, I was like, yeah, it's better. The only knocks I have on it are some of the character designs, and some of the wasted episodes that you could have used for something else other than, wasting the episode. But not following up on storylines too was another knock I give on it. But, overall though, I will give X-Men Evolution a 4 out of 5. I think it was a good show. I didn't like the fact they were teenagers, but, they were trying to pander to the younger viewer, and I was a little bit older when this show came out. I was like, let's see, it was 2000, so I was probably like around 16, 17 when this show first came out. Because it came out that fall after the first X-Men movie had come out. So, I think the voice actors for the show, I thought they picked some good voice actors for certain characters, but then they had some not so great voice actors for some other characters as well. I mean, honestly, I think they could have picked a couple other better voice actors for the show than what they did. But overall, I'll still give it a 4 out of 5. Good show. In fact, I'm going to watch it when I finish this video. Watch some more episodes that I liked from X-Men Evolution. But that'll do it for this. I know a lot of kids also grew up. This was their X-Men. Their generation of the X-Men show. Whereas the 90s one was my generation of the X-Men show. So, yeah, I'll give this one a 4 out of 5. Like I said, good episode, but let me know what you guys thought of X-Men Evolution. Do you agree with some of the things I griped about? Do you agree with some of the things I felt was great about it? Let me know in the comments below. Please like this video, subscribe for more. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Hornsby83. Follow me on Facebook at Mr. Hornsby83 Facebook fan page. The Mr. Hornsby83 Show Facebook fan page. Follow my business page, Trigen Toys. And that'll do it. But, yep, I give X-Men Evolution 4 out of 5. Still a pretty good show. Not to the standard of the 90s X-Men show. But it got almost close to it. Catch you guys later. Peace out.